If you did a Google search for FS9 Rusty Spartan, you'll find this. That repaint is one of the first things I ever contributed to the flight sim community. And also give you an idea that my less than perfect liveries are not really a new idea for me. Anyway, I spotted a freeware version of that same aircraft at explain.org to the Spartan executive, and I thought I'd take a trip down memory lane and see what it's like. First impressions are just look at how shiny and new it is. God, that's horrific. But what may also be horrific is this flight, as we currently have wind at 22 knots gusting 39, so me, tail draggers, that wind and my first ever flight in this, that's probably not a great combination. But at least the wind is pretty much straight down the runway here, so fingers crossed we might get airborne okay. Not sure about landing again, but we should get up into the air. Yeah, getting blown around quite a bit, but fortunately the strength of that headwind, it didn't take long to get up into the air. We are flying. Wave goodbye to Havelock. Yeah, I do like that scenery. Very happy with how that came out. Certainly getting buffeted around quite a bit, aren't we? But anyway, I know I said in the last Just Flying video, and oh, by the way, welcome to Just Flying episode 23. But yeah, I mentioned in the last one we would probably cross over to North Ireland, but we'll do that in the next one instead. With the speed of this Spartan and the weather, it would probably take quite a while flying over the Cook Strait. So we'll just take a short trip over to Picton instead. Which did have an upgrade recently, in case you missed that. So at the north end of the airport, there's now a big U-shaped building which is actually a storage unit kind of place. So if your scenery has that, then you've got the most up-to-date version, but if not, then get the latest one from my mega folder. So, and it's not just that storage unit building, there are other bits I've upgraded at Picton, so it is worth getting. So just a relatively short flight, but it's nice to be flying at all after a few days off. That wasn't by choice, as I managed to accidentally smash my foot into the corner of a kitchen cabinet. That was hard enough, where I used up pretty much every swear word I know and probably invented a few new ones. Now, the little toe was the worst, and that went totally black with the bruising, but the two next to it had some bruising too. And I couldn't actually stand up properly for 2 days, as pressure anywhere on my foot made my little toe hurt. So I'd got no chance pressing rudder pedals. I can still feel it throbbing right now, but it is much better than it was. I'm sure I probably broke it, because it was quite a few years ago I walked into a door and did a similar thing on my other foot. And that was in the evening, and next morning I was still in quite a bit of pain, so I did take a trip to the hospital. They gave me an x-ray and said yes, it was broken, but the bone in the little toe is so small there's not much they could do for it. So they got some surgical tape and taped it to the next toe along. I think they called it a buddy wrap. And said that would act as a kind of splint for it, but apart from that, tough, take some painkillers, it'll get better eventually. So having been through that once, where I know it was broken, this time the hit was bigger, the pain was more intense, so I'm fairly sure I did break the bone this time as well. Although with that experience from before, I didn't bother seeing anybody medical, as I know there's not much they can do. I mean, it is getting better now and heading back to normal, although I have started taking a much wider route around that particular cabinet in the kitchen. It basically ended with a couple of days with my foot up on the desk, which gave me a nice chance to catch up on a few things on YouTube and confuse myself. So I do like a bit of theoretical physics and cosmology, and occasionally chase a few things down various rabbit holes trying to get a better understanding of something. This time it was particle spin. Spin up or spin down is enough for an amateur level understanding of it, but I was digging a bit deeper and I think I'm starting to get it now. Although science can understand the results, predict them and work with them, but even professional physicists don't fully understand the concept of how and why with particle spin, so for me as an amateur, there's certainly a few head-scratching moments having to re-watch things or go off on tangents for other bits of information. All good fun though. Totally no use to me in any practical sense whatsoever, but I enjoy learning nonetheless. Right then, so this is Picton. We need to follow the road down from there, and that will take us to the airfield, which is a road I've been on during both of my New Zealand visits. As both times I did North Island first, then got the ferry from Wellington to Picton to get over to South Island. In fact, with both times I flew into Auckland and then left from Christchurch, so it was North Island first and South Island second on both occasions, although they were slightly different trips. Travelling to the other side of the planet, I thought it would be nice to see Australia while I was there too, so the first 2010 trip I went to New Zealand first, and then flew from Christchurch to Sydney for the Australian part of my holiday. And the second time, that was the other way round, and I went to Australia first, and so leaving Christchurch was nearly the end of my trip then. And the flight was Christchurch to Brisbane, where I changed planes and then went for a stop off in Singapore before I headed back to England again. Because with those long haul flights they let you do a 2-night stopover and still class it as one flight. And I'd never been to Singapore before, so it's quite nice, but my major memory was that it has two types of weather in Singapore: dry and ridiculously humid, or raining and ridiculously humid. To the point where it didn't actually matter if it was raining, because 5 minutes after leaving the hotel I was sweating that much, but my shirt was wet anyway. But enough about shirts that need to go in the washing machine. Let's see what my underpants look like after this. And oh, by the way, with having a bit of a heat wave here in the UK at the moment, this flight is being undertaken with me wearing only my underpants, which is a piece of information you're probably wishing I hadn't shared with you. Yeah. But it could be worse. Some flight sim channels have those little insect pictures where you can see the pilot. Just be very grateful that I don't know how to do that. Or maybe there is a niche market for naked fat guy flight sim channel on OnlyFans or something like that. I'll let you know if I ever start one. Right, let's see what we can do then. Where we had a wind pretty much in our face when we took off. Yeah, this is coming in from the left a little bit now, probably about 30 degrees component pushing us from the left, so I'm thinking big crosswind, gusting, buffeting around like this. Yeah, forget the hard surface. If I can actually make a touchdown anywhere on that grass, I'll be happy with that. We'll try for the bit in the middle, but yeah. Yeah, look at that windsuck. That's ooh. Okay, come on then. Straighten up, down. Ooh, wasn't too bad. And then we're going sideways, and we're up in the. Oh God, no, don't. Shit. Oh, yeah. I appear to have lost my engine. Yeah, we're still the right way up. That's possibly even enough to call that landing a success. Yeah, I think that original touchdown went okay. Straightened it up and was on the actual asphalt. Yeah, that was alright. Bit hard, obviously, but yeah, then it went wrong after that. Gust lifted the wing up and propeller into the floor. So apart from a brand new propeller and probably a complete overhaul of the engine, having overstressed it from digging the propeller into the floor, that went well, I thought. Yeah. So, if you wanted a Spartan Executive, by the way, yeah, I think that's a very nice one for a freeware aircraft. Quite like it. Probably never use it again personally, because don't really like tail draggers and things like the Beaver. If I ever did, then I've got something that I think's a little bit better, but for a freeware one, that's very nice indeed. Yeah, certainly gets my recommendation. Anyway, that will do then. I'll see you again for the next episode fairly soon, and we will make it over to North Island then. Until next time, see you soon then. Bye.